Hi class, in this video I'm going to go over chapter 13, so the positive externality and also public good. So this is the extension what we learned from chapter 12, which was the negative externality, and this is the opposite of that. Remember, negative externality is anything bad happen to a third party. The positive externality is anything good happen to a third party that didn't, wasn't directly involved in supply demand. So the example we used in this chapter was the space exploration by NASA. So think about all the technology, all the innovations that was coming out of the space program. That's creating a lot of the other opportunity and also other benefit in society. Those is a spillover effect, right? So we do have a lot of this positive spillover effect that sometimes the innovation or research in one area will benefit the economy in other areas. So this type of examples in economics, we call this a positive externality. So think about, whenever there's a new technology coming out in the market, that the firms can always earn a higher profit. So firms have an incentive to produce those new technology that's in the production line. But this new technology can also be borrowed, quote unquote here, so borrowed by other companies, so maybe in other industries, and this can benefit everybody in the society. But the key here is how do we make sure that we give enough incentive for the innovators to create this type of technologies. So by estimate, the innovators only receive about 1/3 or 1/2 of the total economic benefit whenever there's an innovation involved. So how can we encourage more innovation to make sure the innovators have bigger share of the creation they have? So this will be mentioned in this chapter. All right, so definitions. So no was a private benefit, was a social benefit. So private benefit, this is the benefit given to our purchaser, the demand side of the economy. So whatever consumer purchase this good, that your benefit from the consumption, that's called a private benefit. Now the social benefit is the overall benefit of everybody in the economy, right? So not just the person who pay for it, but it's also will be person who didn't directly pay for this good, but also getting the benefit for this good. So let's say that you love music from Beyonce, and you purchase Beyonce music and you play very loudly in your car. Well, you're getting the benefit. But also, what if the person next to you in the other car also like Beyonce, and now you happen to play the song the other person like, so he or she is also getting the benefit, but didn't pay for it. So your benefit is called a private benefit. The benefit to the person who didn't pay for it, that's called an external benefit. All right, and then also definitions, positive externality, this is the spillover, but that's good. Something good happened to a third party that's not directly involved in our supply demand. So imagine we have this big drug company who need to finance their research and development to produce new drug. And we're going to see two demand curve here. So the first demand curve, that is our, so the P private, D private, that's the demand curve by individual company. So that's how much research and development the private company want to engage in when the market charges 8% interest. And that's a lot. That's a very high interest, right? So if I'm a company here, I'm thinking, hey, if I need to borrow money and pay a 8% interest rate, then I want to borrow less money. But as an entire society, with all the external benefit, with all those spillover effect, then maybe we want this company to do more R&D, to do more research development. So at 8%, as the entire society for the D social demand curve, we want the company to engage in at least $52 million of research and development. But this company by itself is only engaging at $30 billion because interest rate is too high. So, and then the question becomes, how can we encourage this company to behave at the social demand curve, not the private demand curve? Now, a couple more definitions, also known as a private rate of return. So this is the return given to private parties whenever they get engaged in an individual activity. So think about, saving account, interest on it, or your investment account interest on it, or maybe if company engage in an investment or project, the profit from those projects, that's called a private rate of return. Now, the social rate of return, that's the profit or benefit given to the entire society. So this is something similar to our social benefit, right? So imagine if company engage in research and development, that rate of return is how much company can get from the profit of this new drug that's been developed. But as a social return, think about what kind of extra benefit this new drug can bring to the entire society, right? Maybe we have more healthy population, we have longer life expectancy, we have a more able labor force. So those extra benefit we have, that's on top of the company's profit, that is our social rate of return. So that's why we have two different demand curve. The private demand curve, that's only capturing the profit given to the companies. The social demand curve is capturing the overall benefit of this research development of a new drug. All right, so the question again becomes, what can we do to help our companies to behave on the socially desired output or the social demand curve? Now, remember what you learned in the previous chapter with negative externality, that we had two supply curve, but with any positive externality, we're going to see two demand curve. So if this market is left by itself, left just to our regular supply demand, then the market will behave at this market demand curve, and then we have a market price and a market quantity. But as an entire society, so this example here, let's say this is the flu vaccine. So as an entire society, we want people to take more flu vaccine, and that's going to be over here on the social quantity. Now, how can we push our demand to engage in this social quantity? So what can we do here? Now, if you notice that this vertical difference, we have a new term here, it's called subsidy. So subsidy is the negative tax. So subsidy, this is what we do to help our company to behave at a point that's what we desire for. So imagine that, let's say for flu vaccine, if we want the public to engage in this more flu vaccine, the cost will be very high, the benefits will be very low. So how do we bring the cost down to meet our private benefit? Is to offer this subsidy, make it artificially cheaper. Imagine government is paying each person to take the flu vaccine. That will make it cheaper, and therefore there will be more people taking the flu vaccine. All right, a couple more things government can do to encourage innovation instead of just paying people for it. We can enforce something called an intellectual property right. So this intellectual property right, think about stuff like a patent and copyright. So those laws will make sure that whatever the innovation is owned and controlled by the original innovator or the creator for a specific span of time, let's say 25 years, 20 years, right? So imagine our government says that for any development of a new drug that's been approved by the market, then the original company can have the patent for 20 years. Then no other company can copy their patent. So you guys might not think about this too much, but think about whenever you guys go to, let's say, CVS or Walgreens, and you're buying cough medication, like a Dayquil, NyQuil. There's always the store brand that looks very similar, and also on the box says, same ingredient as the, whatever the name brand is, right? So those store brand, that they're existing because the copyright for the Dayquil, NyQuil has already expired. So as long as the company has the copyright or patent, other company cannot copy that, right? So patent is used for innovations. Copyright is the creation for music, films, movies, pictures. Those would be copyright. So those would be stuff like if I want to make a new movie about the Mickey Mouse, well, I can't, right? Because that's Disney, right? So that's the copyright. All right, so if you look at our innovation copyright, patent copyright file in with our government, we really do see this increasing in the filing of patent copyright. And then one of the contribution for it is really the establishment of internet. That with more and more internet, that information readily shared between different parties, that this really allow people to be more innovative, right? That's why we're seeing more patent and copyright filed in the U.S. economy since 1990s. Now, however, if the private sector does not have enough incentive to engage in this research and development, then government can take a direct approach. So four things government can engage in. Think about college and universities. So when you guys go to a four-year school, if you look at what they have at the research labs, those are funded by the government. And those innovation at the research lab will also help our entire economy, right? So college and universities are actually a big source of innovation in the U.S. economy. Non-for-profit research charities, also sometimes we also pay company directly to private firms, and we also have government-run laboratories. So these four approaches here is how our government can involve directly with research and development in the economy. We can also offer tax breaks for companies. So not paying the company money, but say, hey, company, you can pay lower taxes if you spend money on research and development. So this is called R&E tax credit. So for any company who engage in R&E or R&D, that whatever money they spend in R&D, that can be used to count against the company's overall profit. So company can pay a lower tax at the end of the year. So that's another tax break for companies. So another reason why many companies, even Amazon, love to engage in research development, because that research development fund can be used to reduce the company tax. Now, state and local government also like to help too. So for state and local government, we usually you see state universities. So think about the big school like a University of Oklahoma, University of Texas A&M. They have many partnership with individual companies in the private sectors that's in the R&D for, think about farm good, think about animal health, right? So all those type of research that's joint partnership between the public universities, the state government, the federal government, and also the private company involved in the industries. So there are a lot of cooperative research involved. All right, so next let's talk about what is a public good. So public good is anything that's not excludable and not rivaling consumption. Now, when we talk about public good, you might be thinking, hey, a public park is a public good, or a public school is a public good, or a public highway is public good. So basically, to most people, anything has a word public in it must be public good. But in economics, we have a more strict definition for public good. So for public good, it must be non-rival, also must be non-excludable. Now, non-rival means that the consumption of this good by another person have no impact on your consumption. So you wouldn't feel the difference. That's called a non-rival. And then non-excludable means that you cannot exclude somebody from using the same service. So for example, let's say for non-rival, if you take a bottled water, that bottled water is rival in consumption, because if I drink it, if I finish everything, you cannot drink it anymore. That's rival in consumption. Now, example for non-rival, think about cable TV. Think about your channels on PBS, NBC. Think about radios, right? So those would be non-rivals. Doesn't matter how many people watching the TV at the same time, your consumption quality doesn't go down. And then non-excludable, that means you cannot stop somebody from consuming this good. But imagine a concert. A concert will be excludable. That means you gotta buy the ticket to go see the concert, right? If you don't have a ticket, you cannot go. So non-excludable, think about the highway, think about the public park, that we cannot stop somebody from go to the park, right? That's called a non-excludable. So a true public good has to be non-excludable and also non-rival in consumption. Now, there are only a couple true public good in the economy by economic definition. So national defense is a true public good. Your TV and radio are also true public good. All right, also known as a free rider. So free rider is the biggest problem for public good, that because we always have people who like to enjoy the benefit, but don't want to pay for the cost. We call those people free riders. And trust me, many of us are free riders. Think about the TV show like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, or Sesame Street, or Clifford. You guys all seen it before on PBS. Anybody here ever wrote a check to PBS before? That you pay money to PBS? Maybe not, right? So, so we are called a free rider because we enjoy the benefit, but we don't pay for the cost. And the free rider problem really make it really difficult for a government to assess how much of the public good do we truly need. Because if you just ask people to pay, nobody will pay for it. So using that estimation, the public good is usually under-provided in the economy because we don't have a true sense of how much public good do we need to have in the economy. All right, so a couple ways we can fix this this free rider problem. We can make it involve the market. So imagine for our PBS, instead of like allowing people to directly support by giving donation, we can make the PBS to, I don't know, somehow to charge a fee for it, right? Or indirectly selling the service to you. So one example we use here is imagine that let's say Sesame Street, that they don't have enough money because our viewers are not paying enough donation to the channels, and then Sesame Street decided, fine, that we're gonna let all the characters wear Nike product. We're gonna make sure everybody use an iPhone in the show. We're gonna make sure everybody, I don't know, maybe wear Gaps or Old Navy whenever they appear on the show. So those advertisements within the show, that's called a charging, right? So that's one way for public good to be provided free of charge to make sure that everybody can still enjoy this good. So still non-rival in consumption and not excludable. And also can use social pressure and then personal appeal to try to convince people to get off the free rider problem and then pay for the public good. All right. So lastly, think about the public good in the public health system, right? So we do have, so in the public health system, the outcome for public health does provide a lot of public good. So think about vaccine, antibiotics, immunizations. So those kind of program we have is helping everybody in the country, but they are at a cost. So not only are they at a cost to individual consumer, but it's also at a cost to the entire community, right? So how can we make sure to lower that cost to help everybody to engage in more public health programs? Now, for one, that we can have the government pay for everything. So we do have government programs that help providing, vaccine and immunization for children. And also thinking about the COVID vaccine that was free. Well, at the beginning, right? So I don't know about now, but that free vaccine is how our government try to push out this public good. Okay. All right. So guys, that's it for this chapter. Any question, let me know, and I will see you guys for next chapter. All right. Good luck. Bye bye.